Matoma has the touch of the gods, Arne Slot crashes out, and I'm not convinced that Satan didn't invent Manchester United to torture their fans for war crimes committed in a past life. Welcome back to Hatewatch, where football fans come to watch the world burn. I'm your host, the Fat Asian. Before we get started, go ahead, follow me on the Instagram to get my numbers up, to impress the host. And we have to start off by talking about something that happened midweek as Everton stunned Liverpool by getting themselves a shock last-second draw in the final ever Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. And all of this was somehow overshadowed by what happened after the final whistle. As immediately as that whistle sounded, Decore made it his mission to run toward the Liverpool fans and wind them the fuck up, and Curtis Jones wasn't having it. He swiftly follows Decore and bumps right into his back, and the two have a little skerfuffle. And just like that, everybody's getting into it all over the pitch. It's chaos. It's glorious. For their trouble, both Curtis Jones and Decore get a post-match red card, and that wouldn't even be the last red card shown in the game. A game that had finished already. But let's rewind it back just a little bit to Arne Slot's reaction to that last-second goal, and my man had a proper crash out, deserved crash out. So obviously he was less than happy about Michael Oliver's refereeing of the game. So after the match, he gave them what many have deemed as a sarcastic handshake and a couple of choice words. And Michael Oliver was not entertained. In fact, he immediately started reaching for the red card and gave Arne Slot his marching orders. And this still wasn't the final red card of the match, as Arne Slot's assistant, what's his name? Spike Holshoff also caught himself a sexy red. Also, who still names their kid Spike? It's not a human name. That's the name for a dog. The only time you're ever allowed to be named Spike is you have to be the most based anime character of all time. That's it. So I don't know what this Spike did, but I fully agree with Michael Oliver on this red card. Only this red card. Also, Slot has to be a little bit careful here, because need I remind you, David Coote had a lot of anti-Liverpool bias just because Jurgen Klopp had a proper go at him on the touchline one time. So check yourself, Slot, because Michael Oliver, he doesn't mind making it all about himself. And all of this was glorious football heritage. 4 red cards after the final whistle. Goodison Park retires a miraculous 41 wins, 41 losses, and 38 draws in the Merseyside derby. Somehow, out of 120 matches, they're completely dead even, and that fucking matters to the Everton fans. You gotta understand that Tarkowski's last-second goal right there saved them from generational shit talks. This is one of the great rivalries, one of the great derbies in English football, and both of them wanted it bad. I mean, Virgil van Dijk had to be petty and getting this last-second jab at the end, saying that they knew that this was Everton's cup final for the year. I mean, that's some pretty good banter, but don't look now, Virgil. But the Toffees followed up the midweek draw with a dub on the weekend up against Crystals, making it 4 wins and 1 draw in their last 5 games. And this may shock a lot of people, but there is no hotter team in the Premier League right now than Everton. David Moyes has outdone himself with this resurrection job. He's back at the club where he made his name, and it's like he never left. He might just be the long-term answer for Everton if Everton's long-term goals are to finish mid-table. But considering their flirtations with relegation over the last couple seasons, I think that the Evertonians will welcome David Moyes back like a toxic ex on Valentine's Day. Chelsea got put to the sword over the weekend with the opening salvo come courtesy of Matoma with a diploma. Just marvel at this god-tier touch that he does. That helps him lose his marker, and then he shapes it barely beyond the outstretched arms of Sanchez. The goal was pretty good, but the touch, that was the touch, perhaps, of the season. That was some shit out of Blue Lock, and my Asian bias could not be contained. Can't help it. Love to see the homies do well. Chelsea, on the other hand, have regressed to something fierce. This might have been one of the worst performances under Maresca, and it's getting to that point of season where we have to ask the question, has Maresca kind of been found out? Or more likely, has a young and inconsistent but talented squad fallen back to earth after an early purple patch at the start of the season? Let me know your opinions in the comments down below. It was a terrible weekend for Man City haters, but it was pretty good actually midweek. Actually, midweek was fantastic. As Real Madrid, you sneaky son of a bitch, they did it again, pulling a last-second comeback from out of their ass. This, once again, is football heritage, at least when it comes to the Champions League. And anytime you can see Pep Guardiola curled up in a ball, contemplating his new long-term contract,
this right here is my favorite thing ever.
And before the weekend, their new Egyptian signee, Mamouche, was looking like he was on his way to the good old 007. And then it all came crashing down. Not even 19 minutes into the match, Mamouche had found his first ever goal for Manchester City, and within 33 minutes, he had himself his first hat-trick, as City absolutely death starred a very good Newcastle team. And this wasn't some tap-in hat-trick, no, this was a showcase hat-trick. Each goal was like a trailer of what is to come from this young Egyptian god card. A cheeky chip, a smooth check-in before cutting it back, and the third was just arriving into space and firing it into the top corner. If Mo Salah's the Egyptian god card raw, then Marmouche looked like Slifer the Sky Dragon out there, at least for the day. But my man was just too OP for the Saudi regime. And this is only one match. I don't want to oversell him, I don't want to overhype him, but this is just another reminder that Man City are currently in their hyperbaric chamber, recharging for the next season. Now, circling back to Liverpool, remember, they drew midweek, as many seeing it as a crucial turning point for their season, or at least a possible turning point, because it was the first time that we've seen this Liverpool team kind of shook. You know what I'm I'm saying like actually rattle. And with their points gap only down to 7, some were starting to question if the cracks were starting to appear, and that led to the weekend where they got a 2-1 but nervous win over Wolves. It was far from their most confident outing, but here's the thing. We heard all the pundits midweek was like, oh yeah, tides are turning. But bro, they're still the best team in the league, just not quite as imperious as they were at the start of the season. And yet, they still got all 3 points. It's still their league to lose. And here's the biggest thing, all right? When the team chasing you down, it's Bottle Job FC. Do you really feel that much pressure? Or any pressure at all? Speaking of which, we don't give Mikel Arteta enough credit for the season. I'm being legit. I'm not trolling. I'm not trolling here. I think that Mikel Arteta coaching Arsenal this year is one of the most impressive managerial jobs I have ever seen. It might be the most impressive I've seen in the Premier League era, period. And it's all going to be forgotten because tragically, they're going to end up in second place again. Because think about it. The sheer amount of injuries and suspensions that Arteta has had to deal with since day one of the season. Basically, 1 or 2 major players missing every single game. My man has had to Frankenstein lineups every single week. He's had to deal with numerous, I'm going to say, unjust red cards to his team. And through all of this, through all the noise, we sit 25 games into the season, and Arsenal are in second place with only 7 points to separate them from Liverpool. This is the equivalent of Tony Stark building the Iron Man suit in a cave from scraps. He just keeps getting results, and this weekend was no different. Another hideous, glorious win for them. And yes, it took a shift from Mikel Moreno, of all people, at striker to get them past, admittedly, a tougher Leicester City side than many expected. And honestly, maybe they should keep Moreno there, because he showed more in 25 minutes than Kai Havertz has shown his entire Arsenal career. So there you go, Arsenal fans. I've glazed your manager. And listen, I know you guys didn't like Moreno. He wasn't really working as a 6, but maybe you found yourself a 9. But if nothing else, you get to witness this clip where Mikel Moreno celebrates his goal as a Leicester fan, absolutely loses it, and starts to fight with another Leicester fan in the crowd. Just top tier crash out. Bravo. This is how you got to enjoy the season, Arsenal fan. You're not going to win it. But hey, it could be worse. Could be a Man United fan. Can this fucking season just end already? Legitimate question. Like, every fucking time I think, all right, it can't get worse than this. As that mind passes through my head, I feel God descend from the heavens to personally just kick me in the dick again. And this time, the news came even before the game started, as Mr. Fabrizio goes ahead and tweets out, almost with glee, that Amad Diallo had a major ankle injury in training and is out for the rest of the season. Look at me. Look how dead I am in my beady little Asian eyes. Nothing there. Absolutely nothing. Amad Diallo was the one singular thing worth watching on this godforsaken dog shit of a team. And now you're telling me the next time that I get to watch him play in the Premier League is gonna be in August. It's fucking February. I'm gonna crash out. This is the worst Man United season ever. This is somehow worse than Ralph Rangnick. And I keep thinking we've hit rock bottom, but the bottom keeps bottoming out as we descend to an even lower level of hell. Because after the Amon news, we got even more news. I don't know what the fuck they're doing in training, but everyone got injured. Ugarte, Manu, Lenny Yoro, even Collier, all of them unavailable for the game versus Spurs, which meant that we have to field the corpse of Casemiro in the midfield and have a bench full of youngsters and Lindelof. Because fuck it, it's just funny. At this point, I have to just laugh. I have to laugh to keep from crying. I'm no longer going to see it as this is the worst Manchester United season in Premier League history. This is now the funniest, by far the funniest season in Manchester United history. Because can somebody explain to me how every single one of our new signings has been pretty much dog shit to mid at best? Right. Well, everyone else who's transferred away from us is doing amazing. It's like you broke up with your ex and they just fucking glowed up. Anthony has 4 GA in 4 games. Scott McTominay is moving like prime Zidane in Napoli's midfield. And even Rashford had a sparkling debut for the villains. So it is very obvious that we are the problem. We are the problem. The club, the ownership, the aura. I don't know what the fuck it is about this club, but if you come here, guaranteed, we will kill your career. Doesn't matter how talented you are, we will find a way to make you look like cheeks. Pure butt cheeks. And we do it so consistently now. It's like our new club ethos. At this point, I can only blame conspiracy or Nigerian witchcraft. Those are the only logical answers I have. And oh my god, I haven't even talked about the game yet. All right, let's talk about Spurs versus United. And Spurs, I mean, they've been hard done the entire season. They were missing half their lineup. And honestly, they played like dog shit too. It was a bad game overall. James Maddison scored an early goal, went over the camera, threw a dart, started doing some chirping motions, and then did the shush, which was, it was a nice little moment of vindication for James Maddison. As before the game, Roy Keane took a pot shot at him, pretty much unprovoked. So this is a fair bit of return fire. And honestly, to have the audacity to do this many celebrations to the camera after a tap-in goal, I respect it. I respect this type of petty. And for what it's worth, James Madison seems like a good lad. But anyway, Spurs score early. And what proceeds after that is 75 minutes of the most unwatchable football that your eyes can graze upon. I think I saw someone tweet this out or make a video that the title was, "We couldn't score if we were in a brothel." And that perfectly summed up Manchester United on the day. We have two strikers out there that we paid over 100 million euros for, and they are absolutely useless in front of a net. Let me read the stats. Højlund has 2 goals in 20 Premier League appearances this year. Joshua Zirkzee has 3 goals in 25 appearances, and Alexander Garnacho has 3 goals in 24 appearances. Zirkzee has all that goddamn height, and he cannot put a free header from 6 yards out, even on target. I'm not asking for a goal, I'm just put it on target. Garnacho had an absolute sitter, no one around him, and he blasts that shit into the upper deck. The crossbar could have been twice as high, and he still would have skied it over. The Garnacho miss was so horrific that Korea's #1 Man United fan had this reaction. Honestly, I don't know why you guys watch me. Watch this guy. He is the premier Asian football content creator. And my man's been having a rough go at it. Because last time Manchester United played Spurs, Son ended up scoring on us, and he did this. I get it. The Korean loyalty is strong. I respect it. But after 90 minutes of football that wouldn't be out of place at the Special Olympics, Tottenham get their first home win in 3 months. Like, this really was like 2 retards fight. Actually, no. That would be an insult to retards. Jesus Christ, this is Spurs' first double against United in 30 years. And with this loss, Man United dropped to 15th in the table. 15th. You know who's above us right now? Everton. Fucking Everton. The escape lizards are above us in the table. I'm gonna crash out. And no one will blame me. No one. I'm gonna drink profusely after recording this. At this point, I think I know what we have to do. There's only one man who can save us. Many men. All right, no, I'm kidding about Sean Dyche. But here's something I'm not kidding about. I'm gonna say something a little wild as a Man United fan here. If this wasn't my job, truly, I would not watch another Manchester United game in the Premier League for the rest of the season. Because there's no point. Amad Diallo is out. There's very little potential in the youngsters. We're not gonna get relegated. We're not gonna achieve anything. There is just no point. You could be spending your time so much better. Brother, you could be playing Marvel Rivals. Have you played Marvel Rivals? It's amazing. You'd be watching Solo Leveling. Hell, you could rot your brain on TikTok. All of these better options than watching Manchester United play in the Premier League. There's no point to the rest of the season. So why torture yourself for some misguided loyalty to a team that you don't, in your heart of hearts, don't even recognize anymore? Admit it. So here's my pitch. I think we as a society should normalize taking vacations, or as you guys say it, holidays, from your fandoms. Like right now, I'm taking a break from the MCU and Manchester United. And listen, I'm not retiring it. When it gets good again, you know, when they bring the X-Men back into the MCU, when in a decade from now, Manchester United is back to being good, then I'll come back. But until then, life is too short. It simply is. So instead of torturing myself, in the meantime, I'm gonna go smoke copious amounts of weed and play some Marvel Rivals. Sounds nice. Protect your peace. And that's gonna be it for me this week. Thank you to all my patrons, keep me alive and well. Thank you to the newest member of the GO tier, Isaac Martinez Duran. You have too many names, but I love you. Also, shout outs to everyone else in the GO tier. We got Elm, Robert Matai, Peter Barr, Neanya Barr, Kyle Stockton, Michael Sense, the Fat Austrian, Valente Vasquez, Mo Viduk, and of course, the one and only double GOAT, Sandra Jeremy. And everyone in the GO tier, go ahead, hit me up on the Patreon, message me, and I promise you guys I'll respond to each one of you guys personally. Special thanks to Alex for going ahead and editing this video. If you want to go ahead and hire him, his links are in the description down below. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me. See you guys next week.